Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. All right, I wanted to do some little talking about the Lakers because we're, a month away, a little under a month away from tip-off of our first preseason game. Luka Doncic is playing great, man. I got to swallow my words and essentially say his team is doing great. They got to the semifinals today. They've been tearing up everybody. He's been putting up legendary MVP-like numbers in the Euro League. He had 42 points today, 30-something the day before that, triple-double the day before that. I mean, he's just been Luka Doncic. He's been Luka. And he looks good, man. He looks really good. Like, you could tell that his body has really taken well to the work that he's been putting into it. He's not just skinny Luka. He looks strong out there. He looks strong. And I'm super excited about what he's going to be for us this upcoming season. I could not be more happy with the Lakers signing him. Could not be more happy with our franchise going forward with this guy, man. I could not be more happy. I wouldn't trade him for anybody in the league right now. I really wouldn't. Not even Wemby. Because I think when you get to this, when you got this type of talent, you don't disrespect him by trading him. And I know you're going to be like, but you said trade LeBron. Yeah, LeBron is different, and I still wouldn't just execute a trade for LeBron. It would have to make some sense. And I certainly wouldn't trade him in this prime. It would never happen. Now, would I rather have Wemby than Luka? In a nutshell, if I'm like the Orlando Magic, probably yes. But as a Laker, would I trade Luka for better? No. I would keep him, and I would honor him like a superstar, which I expect my franchise to do. You know, and that's what it's really about for me. When you have one of them top three guys, you don't trade them for one another. You don't trade 3 for 2. You don't trade 3 for 1. You can make that case, but what you really want to do is honor who you have and appreciate that you're one of the few teams that has a player of that caliber, and that everybody's trying to get a player of that caliber. You may not be able to, and so that's what I want to say. Just congratulations to Luka. We're hoping that you were able to drag that team, which is not very talented, to get gold, man. I want to see him get gold for sure, and stay healthy doing it. So that's what's coming to mind for me. Just in awe of what Luka's doing right now, and pretty damn excited about it. LeBron looks like he's in great shape as well. I could tell that his conditioning is continuing to be where it is. I was thinking about something a couple of days ago, randomly walking down the street. It's like, the standards that we have for the human body, the expectations we have for an aging body. I don't know that we're not looking at somebody who's just going to shatter all of that. I don't know that we're not. And I do expect for him to start to decline to some degree, but decline for him, he may still be an all-star. Even as he's declining, he still may be a top 20 player in the league. He's just got that it factor on top of the genetics. He knows what he's doing, and he's improved in the areas necessary to assure his game prolongs. And I think there's a world where LeBron James is still refining areas of his game that isn't strong right now. So if he can avoid injury, I expect another MVP-like season from him. And if we get both that from him and Luka, there is no way that you can't look at the Lakers as a contender this season. There's no actual way, based on how we refine certain areas of our roster to make more basketball sense. There's no way, if both of those guys aren't playing their best, we're not in the mix to win the championship. There's no way. And that's what it really comes down to. I think what I'm seeing from Luka in EuroLeague, and certainly against different defense, different talent, but what I'm seeing is if he can carry that, if he can continue just doing what he's doing now throughout the course of the regular season, and LeBron has been the LeBron that he's been for the last 8 years, I think the Los Angeles Lakers can win over 50 games. I think we can win over 50 games. I think we can get to at least the second round of playoffs. I think that. I really think that. I don't think that's unreasonable at all. Our team is better constructed this season for that than we have been over the last 3 or 4 years, in my opinion. With Anthony Davis in place, um, you had the makings of something that could always be a contender. But the surrounding pieces didn't always fit. You didn't have a center. You were missing some of the perimeter defense, some of the athleticism missing. There's always stuff missing from the roster that you could point at and say, yo, this team is capped off. I think this year's team is so much better constructed to just simply play good basketball on both sides of the floor than really any team we've seen since 2020. And so, with the addition of Marcus Smart, with the addition of DeAndre Ayton, those are two pieces that any of them teams that we had these last couple of years could have really used, especially Ayton. And Ayton looks pretty good as well. He looks like he's going to have a good season. For his standards, I'm not really sure what that looks like anymore. I don't expect him to be an all-star or anything like that. But if he can give me the 17 and 10 that I would expect from him in most seasons for a good 63 games, I'll be comfortable with that. I do expect him to miss some time. I do expect for him to be a little lazy at times. I just expect certain things based on his reputation and who he's proven himself to be. But for me, I legitimately think that we're looking at a piece that doesn't have to be a world beater if those two superstars are indeed super. Which, even at their floor, they pretty much are, if I'm being honest. And then there's the Austin Reeves factor. I'm still not quite sure where he fits in. I do think that he's going to have to thrive off the bench in order for us to be effective in getting the most out of him. But at the same time, I do think also that there's a world where you just live with the deficiencies that come with keeping him in the starting lineup and make adjustments where necessary with the pieces that you have. Make sure that your team just kind of plugs holes as the game dictates you may need to. And so that's kind of how I see it. I'm excited about the opportunity that some of our young guys have. I look at Abdul Thiro. He's been working hard. He looks really good. I know he had that knee thing going on. I'm pretty sure he's healed from that. Jake LaRavia. And more than anything, I'm just curious about what Jake's going to give us. I don't really have an idea or high expectations. Kind of a clean slate, role player, floor, basically backup guy who's going to give us like 5 points, 3 assists. If he gives me more than that, or if he's much better than that, I'm thrilled. I want him to thrive, and I know he's a young piece. And I think that he could be a good connective piece in a good defensive lineups. You got a healthy Vando coming back. I'm not in love with Vando's piece, but since we're stuck to him because his contract's nearly untradeable, I can remember all of the good things that he did on the rebounds. Defensively, he's practically unstoppable. And I think he's going to be an extremely effective piece with a good off season and a full training camp, for which he hasn't had over the last couple of years. And LeBron and Luka having a full training camp. They've got to understand that we made that trade mid-season. Luka wasn't in shape. There was a lot of things working against the Lakers. We did get kicked out in the first round. Very disappointing, but if they had a full season plus training camp, I don't think that we end up with the same circumstances. They have to work out certain kinks, and I don't know that they worked them out in the second half of last year. I don't know that we're going to have them worked out by the beginning of this year. But we're going to have to learn how to play with those 3 ball handlers. They're going to have to work with one another with more synergy and unselfishness. And I think that year 2 for JJ Redick, he's obviously going to have to prove that he can do a better job than he did in these playoffs. I walked away from that very unhappy. I was unhappy with the playoffs. I was happy with the season, regular season, but the playoffs left us with a bad taste in our mouth. He tried things that probably should have never been tried in the playoffs. And we didn't get very far. So he's going to have to prove that he can deliver in the playoffs, that was not indicative of what we can expect from him when it matters most. Wigging out and doing all types of weird stuff with the roster. So, it's just JJ Redick, I think, is a maniacal guy. He's going to, do all the homework necessary to ensure that he's his best self. And I know the team is going to rally around his personality. He's going to communicate well. I expect good things from him in year 2, and hopefully his ego doesn't drive him into making unorthodox decisions that don't find themselves to be effective in helping us win. Because we dealt with enough of that from Darvin, enough of that from other previous coaches before him. I really need somebody who's going to look at what's going on, say this ain't working, and scrap it, and not have so much pride behind the fact that it was his idea. It's so important, an underrated thing that we really need from our coach. So, yeah, man. Marcus Smart, I can't wait to see what Marcus is going to do for our team. He's another one of those guys like Ayton. He doesn't have to play great in order for him to be effective for what we are. I don't need him to be all-star Marcus Smart or Defensive Player of the Year Marcus Smart to be effective. He just needs to be a version of himself that is healthy. Give me what you've been giving teams for the last several years before the injuries hit. I don't need you to be the best version of that. Just give me some of that. And I think that'll be enough based on the roles that other players play. Bron, Luka, Austin. Those guys have to be the best version of themselves. The role players got to be a very good version of themselves. And if we can get all of that in a good, healthy season, I do expect the Lakers to win about 53 games this season. So, yeah, man, it's a lot of going on with the roster that I have to kind of refresh my mind on. I haven't done much thinking about this team at all this offseason. That's been deliberate and intentional, but I am going to throw myself back into it very soon to really start digging into this roster and what I expect from them. See what this identity of this unit is going to be, for which I expect great changes based on personnel. And, yeah, man, we're going to see what we need to work on, man. I'm starting to get there, as it pertains to my interests. I'm starting to kind of round into a desire to get back to the work, which is something that I hadn't been feeling leading up to this point. So this is really what this is. It's just the start of refreshing what we do here on this channel, which is try to break down as much of the tendencies of our team as possible and then do enough homework, effective homework, on our opponents so that we can be as prepared as we can be for whatever the game will be ahead. Whether it's playoffs or regular season, we approach it the same way. Preseason, we approach it the same way. And we try to stay as prepared as the data will allow us to be. And try to be as consistent as the schedule will force us to be. So that's pretty much what I got to say. There are other aspects of this team that I'd love to get into, but none of them come to mind, and I got to get going. BDL 44, I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.